introduction to convolutional neural network part. Now, before moving on to the what are convolutional neural network, we will see what is the inspiration behind them. So back in 1959, there were two neuroscientists named David Hubble and Torsten Wiesel, who were studying about how the visual cortex part of the brain intercepts visual information. Their experiments on cats revealed that vision is processed hierarchically, layer by layer in the brain. So what they did in their experiment was they recorded the electrical activity of individual neurons in a cat's primary visual cortex using the microelectrodes. The cat was shown patterns of light, especially a bright line or a bar which is moving across a screen at different orientations and positions. The key observation from their experiments were they observed two types of cells. The very first one is simple cell, which responded, or we can say the neurons fired only when the bright line was shown at a specific orientation, like vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and specific position in that visual field. So this means they were sensitive to edges and orientation. They act like more of a edge detectors. And the second types of cells were complex cells. They fired regardless of the exact position or orientation of the light. As long as this light was present, they fired. So they also responded strongly to the motion of the light bar. They aggregated the signals which were coming from the simple cells. Hence they were representing a higher level of abstraction of what the simple cell detects. So what is their connection to the convolutional neural network? In convolutional neural network, there is a convolutional layer, which we will see what it is. So that convolutional layer mimics the simple cells. They detect the local features via filters, and there is a pooling layer in convolutional neural network which mimics the complex cell. What they do is they combine the nearby features, providing invariance to small shifts, or we can say distortions, like recognizing an object regardless of its position. So yeah, the CNNs are an artificial abstraction of how biological vision process input data hierarchically. So in this image, we can see that cat was shown light stimulus at various orientations, and corresponding to that, a graph is observed. On y-axis, it shows the number of cells responded to that particular orientation of the light bar, and on the x-axis, it is the orientation of the light bar that was shown. So yeah, the convolutional neural network is a specialized kind of deep neural network primarily used for analyzing visual imagery. Unlike fully connected networks, CNNs are designed to capture spatial hierarchies and local dependencies in data, especially images and videos. So here's the components of a convolutional neural network. The very first one is input layer. Then there is a convolutional layer in which various kind of filters or kernels are applied, which slides over the input images. Like we are primarily focusing on extracting features from an image. So there are some filters which are specifically designed to extract features from an image, like detecting, for example, if we are recognizing a handwritten digit, for example 9, that loopy pattern, we have a filter for that. Similarly, in like number 7, there is a slant line we have to detect. For that also we have a kernel for that purpose. Then there is activation function, which are used to introduce non-linearity in the model, so that our model just don't give the output same as input, it does do some processing. Then there are pooling layers, which primarily serve for reducing the dimensionality, so that our computations get reduced. So for example, when we apply these filters into our input image, we nearly get the output of the same size of the input image. So now we have to reduce their dimensionality. So what we do is we take some aggregation function, like taking max of the 4x4 grid or a 2x2 grid, or an average from a 2x2 region. So by that we can downsample our output. Then there are fully connected layers. So the fully connected layer is typically large few layers in a convolutional neural network that serves as a classifier for the network. The core function of fully connected layer is to operate just like a traditional layer in a standard multi-layer perceptron. Every single neuron in a fully connected layer is connected to every single activation in the previous layer. This layer uses the extracted features in the flattened vector. We will see what the flattened vector is. The fully connected layer uses extracted features in the flattened vector to perform the final classification. It learns the complex non-linear combination of various features to determine the probability of the.
So the question you asked, that why should we prefer CNN, or what was the reason we chose CNNs? Okay, so apart from what Rishabh said, I would like to add that in CNNs, what was the advantage that in normal images, let's take an example, like a cat is sitting in the top right corner. So let's say the model is identifying it as a cat, but let's say there is an image where the cat is sitting in the top left corner. It is still a cat, but the model is not trained of the cat sitting in the top right position. So that was the big issue in the ANN. The model should be positionally invariant, whereas using only ANNs could not provide me that like property. So to make our images positionally invariant, we use CNN, where the orientational information is retained because it is a 2D matrix. Also, if an image is 28 cross 28, if we make a 1D vector, it will be 28 cross 28. That will be a lot of computational cost. So we can reduce it by the convolutional layers.
Yeah, so I think CNN is basically a specific use case of neural networks where in CNN the kind of learning which is done is via edge detection and feature extraction. So what some members of the group said was that if there's a cat, if there's an image of a cat in the corner, we'll be able to learn the features of the cat, and if there's any data augmentation which occurs so in such a manner that the image of the cat somehow lands up on the other corner of the image, then the neural network will still be able to understand and learn the features of that very specific cat. So the learning process doesn't get hindered, and the neural network is still able to learn what the image of the cat looks like, and that's how the process goes. So it's all about feature extraction and edge detection, which happens in neural networks, and then we learn a lot of that through which is going to happen now, which is convolutional operations, and then things like max pooling, which is basically downsampling the features from a lot of features to a certain number of features that we really want. Well, yes, ma'am, because images are made of pixels, and every pixel, and because all images have a 3-color variation, RGB, so everything is a mix of that. So CNNs are able to learn that sort of pixelations, that pixelated pattern which exists in every image. If you zoom in every image to like a microscopic level, in the end it's just pixels. So CNN is able to learn those pixels, and hence if the position of these images change over a period of time because of whatever reason, because of noise in our data or whatever augmentation that we do in the training data, the CNN will still be able to learn those features which exist because of things like max pooling and feature extraction, edge detection, which has a lot of maths behind it. But yeah.